During a summer marked by protests for racial justice, Kenosha, Wisconsin moved into the national spotlight in August after police shot a black man named Jacob Blake 7 times in the back. Peaceful protests during the day were followed by rioting and civil unrest at night. Just before midnight on August 25th, tensions peaked when a 17-year-old named Kyle Rittenhouse shot and killed 36-year-old Joseph Rosenbaum. Moments later, Rittenhouse shot 2 other men, one fatally. Rittenhouse was arrested and charged with multiple counts of homicide and weapons offenses, but right-wing groups have rallied to his cause, celebrating him as a hero who sought to protect Kenosha from destructive rioting and who fired in self-defense. The events have become a litmus test for a deeply divided nation. A Washington Post examination of video and police records, along with other documents, sheds new light on the mindsets of the 2 people principally involved. One, a gun enthusiast who thought of himself as a medic. The other, a homeless man with a criminal record who was discharged that day from a psychiatric hospital. The Post found that Rittenhouse, who was too young to buy a gun himself, arranged for an adult friend to buy it with money Rittenhouse had received from a government-issued stimulus check. The Post interviewed Rittenhouse, who spoke publicly for the first time since his arrest. He said he did not regret that he had had a gun that night.
I feel I had to protect myself. I would have died that night if I didn't.
The examination reveals new details about Rosenbaum's past and includes the first on-camera interview with the woman who was his fiancée.
I don't think there's any sort of self-defense when there's an unarmed person in front of you and you're holding an assault rifle 2 feet away.
Kyle Rittenhouse lived with his mother, Wendy Rittenhouse, and 2 sisters in the northern Illinois village of Antioch, a Chicago suburb about 20 miles from Kenosha. He participated in cadet programs at the Antioch Fire Department and a nearby police department. He stopped attending high school and in 2018 began working toward his degree through an online homeschooling program.
Ever since I was little, I couldn't decide if I wanted to be a police officer or a firefighter paramedic.
Rittenhouse's attorneys arranged for him to speak to the Post in a telephone call from a juvenile detention center, on the condition that he not be asked about the shooting or the events immediately preceding it.
I do consider myself patriotic. I love our country.
Rittenhouse told the Post he routinely carries a homemade medical kit and had one with him in Kenosha.
If someone was hurt, Kyle would be right there helping you.
Kyle had ties to Kenosha, including a family friend, Dominic Black. Black, then 18, bought Kyle's gun for him in the spring of 2020, according to Rittenhouse and to statements Black gave police. Under Wisconsin state law, Rittenhouse as a minor could shoot target practice with adult supervision, but he could not own a rifle or carry it in public.
I got my $1,200 from the coronavirus Illinois unemployment because I was on furlough for my FCA, and I got my first unemployment check, so I was like, I'll use this to buy it.
According to statements Black made to the police, Rittenhouse kept the AR-15 at the Kenosha home of Black's stepfather. The stepfather, Scott Dickhart, declined to comment to the Post. Rittenhouse and Black used the gun on the stepfather's northern Wisconsin property. They plan to transfer ownership of the gun to Rittenhouse next year, Rittenhouse said. On August 24th, Rittenhouse went up to the Kenosha area for his job as a lifeguard. Rittenhouse told the Post he finished his shift at 8 p.m. and went to Black's stepfather's home where he, one of his sisters, and Black spent the evening. They stayed home, but watched live streams of chaos erupting downtown, the sister told the Post. In general, Rittenhouse supported peaceful demonstrations, his sister said, but objected to violence and called the rioters, quote, monsters. As the protests intensified that night, Black's stepfather removed the rifle Black bought for Rittenhouse and other weapons from his locked gun safe and placed them in the basement, according to police records.
yes, there was guns out at the house, but we weren't like running around the house playing with them. It was just like if anybody like broke into the house, there were shotguns and rifles at the house.
Joseph Rosenbaum moved to Kenosha 2 years ago. He met Carrie Ann Swart in 2019.
He really, really loved me. And when he loved deeply. He loved his family, you know. I mean, he was a very, wholehearted, genuine, put everything in, loyal. If your friend is in a fight, you're in a fight.
Raised in Texas and Arizona, Rosenbaum had a chaotic upbringing. His mother was sent to prison when he was 13. A family member molested him, quote, on an almost daily basis, according to statements he later made to law enforcement authorities. While living in group homes and shelters, Rosenbaum began using heroin and methamphetamine. After a conviction for sexual conduct with minors at age 18, he spent more than a decade in prison, a stretch marked by repeated disciplinary infractions, according to prison records. Rosenbaum struggled in Kenosha. For 7 months, he and Swart lived in a tent behind a shop before they moved into a motel.
When you live through such an experience like that with somebody, it's like 10 years. Like, I always say, like, if you can live in a tent with somebody and, like, not, like, end up hating each other by the end, like, okay, it's pretty good. You got a pretty solid future.
Rosenbaum eventually proposed, but their relationship was marked by strife.
Kenosha 911, what's the address of your emergency?
On July 18th, Kenosha police responded to a call about domestic violence involving Swart and Rosenbaum.
Dude just basically went off, she's bleeding everywhere and bruises on her. And
according to court records and interviews with Swart and a witness, Rosenbaum yelled at Swart and body slammed her to the ground. He was arrested and 2 days later released, under order not to contact Swart.
He got angry at one point in time, suffering from untreated mental illness. So I'm not excusing his behavior at all. Yeah, it happened, absolutely, it was domestic violence.
On July 25th, Rosenbaum sent this text message to Swart. An hour later, he overdosed in front of a McDonald's in Kenosha. He called a crisis hotline.
I have a call from Med 4 and Truck 7. Med 4 and Truck 7 respond for an overdose at McDonald's, 7060 Green Bay Road, 7060 Green Bay Road, again for an overdose. Kenosha Fire Clear at 1655.
He was actually in ICU for 5 days, and they did not think he was going to live.
Rosenbaum regained consciousness, and on July 29th, was taken to jail for violating the order to stay away from Swart. He was jailed for 3 weeks. Rosenbaum was released August 20th and spent a few days at CARE, a local mental health facility, before seeking additional help at the Aurora Psychiatric Hospital just outside Milwaukee, according to Swart.
He really just wanted to, stay on his medication, stay on the right path.
On the morning of the 25th, the smell of smoke wafted through downtown Kenosha as the city braced for another day of unrest. At about 9 a.m., Rosenbaum called Swart and said he was preparing to leave the hospital, she said.
I don't necessarily think he wanted to leave, because when he called me and told me he was leaving, I'm like, really? He's like, I knew you were going to be shocked. He's like, I was surprised too.
That same morning, Rittenhouse said he, his sister, and Black set off around 10 a.m. to help with cleanup at local businesses. Rittenhouse said he spoke to the owners of CarSource, a used car dealership ravaged the night before by fire and vandalism.
And I said, hey, if you need anything, let us know. I gave him my phone number.
Rittenhouse's group then went to a local high school to remove graffiti.
I wasn't mad, but I was disappointed that they spray painted a school and just cleaning it, doing my part in the community, helping the community I worked for cleaning it. It made me feel like I was making a positive impact on the community.
That afternoon, the mental health hospital dropped Rosenbaum off on a Kenosha street, according to Swart. He went to the police station to retrieve his belongings from his stay in jail, but the station was shuttered because of the protests. He went to Walgreens to get medication. The store was closed.
But he had, at least his morning and afternoon dose of medication, so he wasn't without medication.
Rittenhouse's mother was growing anxious about her kids being in Kenosha during the protests. She drove to Kenosha and brought Rittenhouse's sister home. Rittenhouse remained. In his text to his sister, Rittenhouse did not mention that he had bought a military-style sling for his rifle from a local gun shop, a detail he later told the Post. According to Rittenhouse, he and Black made plans to help a friend named Nick Smith, who said the car dealers had asked him for help protecting their business against rioters. Rittenhouse and Black thought they were to be paid for the help they were providing, they later told police. Smith declined the Post's request for an interview. Before leaving Black's stepfather's home, Rittenhouse grabbed his AR-15 and the new sling. Black worried about Rittenhouse taking the rifle, but didn't stop him because he thought it would upset his friend, according to the account he gave police.
I was going into a place where people had guns, and God forbid somebody brought a gun to me and decided to shoot me. I wanted to be protected, which I ended up having to protect myself.
What were you thinking would the evening would be like?
Just watching over the business and providing first aid for minor injuries to people.
They connected with Smith and walked to the dealership, Rittenhouse said. It was early evening and the city was relatively calm. Rittenhouse said the owner seemed grateful.
He didn't really tell us what to do. He was just said thank you for coming out, protecting our business. I got all my medical stuff sorted, made sure everything was in line with my medical stuff, making sure nothing was missing.
A manager of the dealership declined interview requests from the Post and ordered reporters off the property. Rittenhouse said he met other armed men and women who also suggested they were in the downtown area to protect businesses.
I'm not part of any group, so I don't know who they were. They're just complete strangers that were there to help protect the businesses with us, and they just came with us to help, so they just tagged along with us.
As Rittenhouse and Black took up their positions, Rosenbaum was connecting with Swart at the motel where she lived and cleaned rooms. They talked for nearly 3 hours.
He seemed very apologetic. He just really wanted to prove to me that he could be the person that I deserved.
About 9:40 p.m., Rosenbaum left Swart. She was adamant he couldn't stay with her that night, fearful he would be arrested for contacting her. Swart warned Rosenbaum to stay away from downtown and avoid trouble.
As far as that night, I have absolutely no idea why he was downtown. None whatsoever.
At the dealership, Rittenhouse is recorded several times on video. Shortly after 10 p.m., he introduced himself to a citizen journalist who was streaming live to Facebook.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I'm Kyle, by the way. People are getting injured, and our job is to protect this business, and part of my job is to also help people. If there's somebody hurt, I'm running into harm's way.
Videos posted online show Rittenhouse holding his rifle. He carried his medic kit on his hip.
That's why I have my rifle.
Nobody was instigating me, and I wasn't instigating anybody else. Everybody was calm with me, and everybody was enjoying me. I was helping everybody. So what I noticed is, if you show the people respect, they're going to show you respect back there.
Ready to defend the property.
Yes, we are. Hey, now, if I can ask, can you guys step back? Medical, EMS right here. I'm an EMT.
Rosenbaum shows up in videos just after 11 p.m. He is shouting at armed civilians at a gas station and helping people push a flaming dumpster. The images include Rosenbaum and Rittenhouse as they pass by each other without incident. Rittenhouse is filmed while standing on the edges of an armed group of men arguing with protesters. Rosenbaum, his shirt wrapped around his head, is looking on as well.
Back away from the business! Back away from the business!
Police riding in an armored car break up the crowd. Rosenbaum leaves the area and is swinging a chain. Officers give water to Rittenhouse and those around him.
We appreciate you guys, we really do.
Rittenhouse walks away from the car dealership to offer medical help.
Anybody need medical? Medical!
What, yesterday or today?
Today. Dude, he just had up the gun. Talking about get off the car. Now he's talking about venom.
Rosenbaum and Rittenhouse each make their way to a nearby gas station. Officers prevent Rittenhouse from returning to his original post. At 11:44, police scanners report people trying to burn vehicles at another lot owned by CarSource. Dispatchers urge police to use caution.
We've seen at least 4 people with handguns running around here.
2 minutes later, Rittenhouse hurries away from the gas station holding a fire extinguisher. He slows to a walk. Rosenbaum, walking in the same direction, begins to run towards Rittenhouse. Rosenbaum throws a plastic bag at Rittenhouse. Swartz said the bag contained items from Rosenbaum's stay at the hospital. As they're running, someone nearby fires a gun. 4 other shots explode, and Rosenbaum falls. 3 more shots are heard. Rittenhouse runs around parked cars and looks at Rosenbaum. He calls black, according to court records, then runs away.
Keep the pressure on there, man.
Bystanders attempt to help Rosenbaum. They carry him to an SUV which transports him to the hospital across the street.
It looks like they got an injured person. They're thrown in the back of a black SUV.
Rittenhouse falls, and a protester hits him with a skateboard. Rittenhouse shoots the skater, Anthony Huber, fatally injuring him. Rittenhouse shoots again, wounding another protester, Gage Grosskreutz. Rittenhouse approaches officers with his arms up, but the police drive by him.
$569 PD. We got somebody down in the middle of the road. CPR in progress.
Dispatchers initially relay a description identifying the gunman as a black man.
Suspect, green shirt, male black, found carrying out with an assault.
Less than a minute later, dispatchers update the suspect's description.
Going to be a male, possibly white, green shirt, long rifle.
In Antioch, Wendy Rittenhouse said she woke up feeling uneasy.
I said, we need to find Kyle. Something's wrong. We got in my car, and I drove to Kenosha. I was on Highway 50 by Green Bay Road, around a little bit farther than that, probably by the Pick and Save, trying to find them, and couldn't find them.
Rittenhouse's sister texted him after seeing video of the shooting. Black drove Rittenhouse home to Antioch. Rittenhouse's gun was in the trunk of the car.
We headed back home, and they were already there. And I got in the house. I saw Kyle. He was pale white, shaking and crying. We left. It was just Kyle and I. We drove around, and we went to the police department.
They arrived at the station at 1:20 a.m. Rittenhouse cried and vomited in the building's lobby and told officers that he had, quote, shot 2 white kids. Antioch police officers went to Rittenhouse's home where Black was waiting. Black brought Antioch officers to his white Ford Taurus. They found Rittenhouse's rifle and Black's disassembled gun and took custody of both. Antioch police arrested Rittenhouse, and he was charged as a fugitive from justice. Swart did not learn of Rosenbaum's death until later that morning.
I was woken up a little after 4 a.m. by the medical examiner. All she told me was that him and 2 or 3 people had gotten shot, and that some Good Samaritans had brought him across the street to the hospital, and that when he got there, he was in a full code. They worked on him till 12:47 on the 26th, the following morning.
Swart found the video of the shooting in a Facebook comment.
I just watched him die in front of me. Like, I was absolutely devastated. I still am from that video, just devastated.
How do you feel like now about having a gun that night? Or do you regret it?
No, I don't regret it. I feel I had to protect myself. I would have died that night if I didn't.
When I saw pieces of video of that, that's self-defense. And he needs to come home to his family. Where's the justice for my son?
I don't think there's any sort of self-defense when there's an unarmed person in front of you and you're holding an assault rifle 2 feet away. But yet, on the other hand, you know, Joe, you shouldn't have been down there, you know? And that's the 2 sides I deal with. Like, what were you doing? I go between being angry to just being sad, but mostly just sad.